Sri Krishna, Sri Krishna. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. The topic that we are discussing at present in this Vibhuti Pad is having the following components. First of all, after having completed the external disciplining, which includes Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, then we take up the internal discipline called as Dhyan, Dharana, Samadhi. Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi. Now when this Dharana, Dhyan, Samadhi is done, exactly what are the changes that are happening in the Chitta? See, in Patanjali Yoga Darshan, we will be always talking about the Chitta. And this Chitta is to be understood in our English language as mind. So don't go into the technical understanding of the word mind, but we mean the Chitta Antakaran. Otherwise every time it becomes difficult. So, what happens to the mind when it is attaining the, what you call, Sayyama, Trayamekatra Sayyama. So, this is, the first thing is Trayamekatra Sayyama. Then this Sayyama, control over the mind with reference to Desha, Kala, Vastu, time, space and object. Then you gather as a result of this tremendous infinite potentiality in you starts becoming manifest. All of us have got tremendous potentiality, infinite. But it is not being used because we do not know how to harvest. The common example that can be understood is the sunlight, when it is spread, it has the potentiality to burn something, but because it is spread, it doesn't have that impact. But when you bring lens in between, then all that spread light rays are converged, and in that point of conversion there is a tremendous heat. In the same manner, our mind, although having infinite potentiality, gets dissipated in Desha, Kala and Vastu. When this is curtailed, we discover infinite power in our mind. Now the question comes that this Sayyama, which is the most important inner disciplining for the Sampradnyat Samadhi, this mind, what happens to this mind as a result of this Sayyama? Like, what happens to the rays when they are pulled together through the lens? What happened to them? This is what is taken as a second topic, and we will told Atha Nirodha Chitta Kshaneshu Chalam Gunavrittamiti Kidrusha Tada Chitta Parinamaha. When the mind is thus attained a Nirodha Avastha, then what happens to the mind? So here, Parinama. What happens to the mind when it is in the Nirodha Sthiti? So there are three things that happen. They are called as Parinama. Parinama means modification. Parinama means effect. It is, or the result. It is something like, if you take sugar, you are already having diabetes, it will lead to bad consequences. So eating excessive sugar for a diabetic person, the Parinama result consequences is bad. In the same manner, when we practice Sayyama, what are the consequences of that Sayyama on the mind? So there are three consequences. Why there will be, when the mind is nirodha, why there will be consequences? Because guna vrittam iti chalam. Because the mind is nothing but the three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. And they are extremely unsteady. Therefore, the mind made up of these three gunas cannot have the same thing all the time. You may control, but even then it is not ultimate. Therefore, what are those parinam? So there are three things that happen to the mind when the mind is controlled through Sanyama. First is Nirodha parinam. So Vyuthana Nirodha Samskarayoho Abhibhava Pradurbhavo Nirodha Kshana Chittanvayo Nirodha parinama. So when these two things, the what you call Vyuthana agitations and Nirodha quietening. So when they are overpowering each other, this thing happens. So when the Nirodha samskara are very strong, then they will quieten the Vyuthana, the disturbances. When the disturbance samskara are strong, they will quieten the Nirodha samskara. So this is the first thing that happens to the mind. This is called as the Nirodha parinam. Thereafter, tasya prashanta vahita samskarat. So, when this chitta, tasya chittasya, Nirodha samskarat, when this Nirodha samskar, maintaining the mind disturbanceless for a longer period of time, by that prashanta vahita, the mind starts remaining quieter, longer and longer without getting disturbed. And this condition is sarva artha ekagratayoho kshayodayo chittasya samadhi parinama. And when these vrittis are no more running here and there because the ekagrata has increased, or if the ekagrata is weak, the mind will run in many objects. So this is called samadhi parinam. So samadhi parinam is with reference to the vrittis, the thoughts. Please understand this basic. Nirodha parinam is with reference to the samskara or the impressions. The samadhi parinam is with reference to the thoughts or the vrittis. After this is done, then the third is ekagrata parinam. So tatra punaha shanto udito utulya pratyayo chittasya ekagrata parinama. And when the same thought is remaining undisturbed, whatever thought has concluded, the same thought again comes out. Therefore, ekagrata is also a thought process. If this is clear to you, then you will appreciate what I have been telling you again and again. Ekagrata should not be considered as something great spiritual practice. Our spiritual practice should be how much more aware we are. Ekagrata takes us away from ourselves, and therefore this is the tataha punaha shanto udito utulya pratyayo chittasya ekagrata pranama. Up to here we have seen. Now we enter the next sutras, and these next sutras are very, very complicated, and when I will take you through all the complications so that you get tired, and then I will tell you, hey, this is nothing, it is so simple as this. Then why don't you tell us there directly? When Bhagavan Veda Vyasa has written such a big commentary, we can't just bypass that. So, the 13th sutra, etena bhutendriyeshu dharma lakshana avastha parinama vyakyatam etena chitta nirupanena, chitta parinama nirupanena. So, we have seen in the last sutra, these are three parinam of the chitta. Now in this chitta parinam, what are the things that we have already seen? And exactly when this Chitta Parinam were taking place, that time what is happening is called as Bhutendriyeshu, those Parinamas are explained. Now before we go further, let us take everything step by step. I have spent on this sutra quite some time because it is such a big commentary, and once you understand this, then you will really have the joy of it. So first, we have seen Parinam, this word earlier also. What we have seen, Vishesha Parinam, Avishesha Parinam or Samanya Parinam, Alinga Parinam, Linga Parinam. If you remember, the Prakriti, Avyakta is Alinga Parinam. Then comes the Mahat Tattva. Then comes the Ahankar Tattva. Then from the Ahankar or the Asmita Tattva, then comes these Pancha Mahabhutas at the subtle level and Ekadashi Indriyani. So in this, the modification of one Tattva into the next one is called as Tattvanta Parinam. Now to make this understand, I tell you a small story from Bhagavad. A pot maker can make a pot, but he cannot create the mud or the clay. Clay is already available. To make this point clear, there is a Leela Bhagwan Krishna in Bhagavad. When Bhagwan Krishna was playing with his friends, without any rules and regulations, wherever there are rules and regulations, we are tied down. So, Bhagwan is Swatantra. Who can tie him down? He is not caught up in Varnashrama. He is beyond everything. So, on the banks of Yamunaji, Bhagwan was sitting with all his friends and eating left hand, right hand. There is no question of jhuta, there is no question of how can I eat from somebody's hand, nothing. A typical Punjabi style. And that time, Brahmaji gets angry that this fellow is not following the rules and regulation of Dharma. When the moment you take food, you have to first of all offer it to. Unless Vishwadeva is done, you cannot eat the food. And this fellow straight away started what he thinks of himself. And therefore, he has hidden all the cows, all those cowherd boys, everything. And that time, Bhagwan became everything. It continued for 1 full year. And even after 1 full year, nobody could suspect that this is Bhagwan in all this form. Brahmaji was surprised that I have taken away all of them, and yet there is no disturbance. What is it? Then the story goes, and then it comes to his knowledge that Brahmaji is like a pot maker. From the Pancha Mahabhutas and from the Ashtadha Prakriti, he can create the world. But his Ashtadha Prakriti cannot be created by Brahmaji. Here also, there are 2 aspects. One is Tattvanta Parinam. Tattvanta Parinam includes what? The Prakriti, then Mahat Tattva, then Asmita, then Ekadashi Indriyani, Pancha Mahabhutas. So up to here, Tattvanta. It belongs to the category of the Tattva, etc. Now, after that, clay is made by the Lord, but the pot maker makes the pot. Now, when a pot maker makes a pot, does it introduce any modification in the clay? No. So there are 2 types of modification. One type of modification are leading to the creation of subsequent tattva. Like from the Prakriti, Mahat Tattva is born. From the Mahat Tattva, Asmita Tattva is born. From there, these Ekadashi Indriyani, 11 senses are born. From these Pancha Mahabhutas are born. Up to here is the Tattvanta Parinam. Then out of these Pancha Mahabhutas, the various forms of the body, the various worlds where the Jivas go, the Purusha goes, this is the second stage. And the second stage has to be understood. So, this Etena, in the last sutra, what was it? Etena, by these three parinam, what we have just now referred, the Nirodha, Samadhi and Ekagrata. By these three parinam, Bhutendriyeshu Dharma Lakshana Avastha Parinama Vyakhyata. By this explanation of these three, the Dharma Lakshana Avastha Parinama are Vyakhyata, are already told. Now to understand this, I have given you the first introduction. But there is something called as Tattvanta Parinam. Then the second one is that this Bhuta Indriya, Pancha Mahabhuta, Jnanendriya, etc., when they undergo modification, they do not create anything new. See? There is nothing new that is created. When the clay is converted into a pot, nothing new is created, only the name and the form. And name and the form is not real. So this is the second type of modification or parinama. We can, for our understanding, call them in two ways. First is the Prakriti and second is the Vikriti. The parinam in the Prakriti leads to the creation of the subsequent tattvas, and this is how, according to Sankhya Shastra, there are 24 tattvas and one Purusha. Now, the second one is this, where the subsequent modification called as Dharma, Lakshana and Avastha Parinama are included. Means what? Dharma, Lakshana, Avastha Parinamas are those modification parinams which does not have any influence on the Tattva. This is it. Tattva remains untouched. Like when the clay is converted into the pot, nothing happens to the clay. When the pot breaks, nothing happens to the clay. When there are small pieces of the pot, there is nothing wrong with the clay. Clay continues to be the clay. And when the pot is pulverized into a dust, that also makes no difference to the clay. So this is the second type of parinam that we call, for our understanding, as Vikriti. So Prakriti is the natural condition, where we come from the Avyakta up to the Pancha Mahabhutas, Tanmatra. After that is all the Vikriti. Bhutendriya, Ityadi. So, this is how they are called as Tattvanta Parinama and Dharma, Lakshana, Avastha Parinama. Now here, we should not mistake that these three parinam which were told earlier, Nirodha, then Samadhi and Ekagrata, these three parinam should be understood as Dharma, Lakshana and Avastha. No, it is not like that. There is a likelihood of one misunderstanding. Then, with every parinam, Nirodha parinam, all these three things happen. Basic parinam, what we have seen, Nirodha, Samadhi and Ekagrata. Now, in Nirodha parinam, all these three, Dharma, Lakshana and Avastha parinam take place. Then, in the Samadhi parinam also, all the three take place. Dharma, Lakshana and Avastha. And again in the Ekagra Parinam also, all these three are taking place. In this manner, these are the Parinama to be included and understood. Now the question comes, in the Bhashya, Bhutendriyesu Dharma Parinamo, Lakshana Parinamo, Avastha Parinamasya Ukta Veditavyaha. So now, in this Bhutendriya, in the Bhutas and the senses, these three parinam are to be understood. Now first, we will see the Dharma Parinam. Now what is the Dharma Parinam? Tatra Vitthana Nirodhayoho Dharmayoho Abhibhava Pradurbhavo Dharma Parinamaha. See, sugar and the dharma of the sugar is sweetness. Similarly, these Nitthana and Nirodha. What happens in the Nirodha Parinam? When the Nirodha Samskara are powerful, Nitthana Samskara are quieter. And when these Nitthana Samskara become powerful, then Nirodha Samskara are quieter. So this is the dharma of the Samskara. Dharma of the Samskara is what? That one will be prominent, other will be quiet, other will be prominent, one will be quiet. So when we say Nirodha Samskara, in this Nirodha Samskara, this Dharma Parinama takes place. So, because we have seen Vitthana and Nirodha, both are the Parinama of the Chitta or the mind. Dharma Parinama, that is the Dharma. Because the mind is like that. Sometimes it will be disturbed, sometimes it will be not disturbed. So that is the dharma of the mind. And this dharmini, dharma parinamaha. Now another important thing. Be very attentive. When the mind is disturbed or quiet, Vitthana disturbed, Nirodha quiet. In both the cases, mind is the same. Isn't it? So, who is getting influence? It is the mind who is supporting both of them. And therefore, if you look at the mind as it is, then Vitthana disturbances will not create anything, and quietness will not create anything. See? To understand this, look at the ocean. When there are waves, Vitthana, nothing happens to the ocean. Ocean is the ocean. And when there is total quietness, no disturbances of the waves, that time also ocean is ocean. Now the question is, where and to whom the Vitthana and Nirodha, disturbances and quietness, to whom it is occurring? It is occurring to the ocean. In the same manner, here also, this is the dharma of the Chitta. And in this Chitta, this is called as Dharma Parinam. Like, our mind has dharma. What is that? When it is Sattva-guna Pradhan, it is quiet. When it is Rajas, it is agitated. When it is Tamo-guna Pradhan, it is dull-witted. In this manner, actually, this Dharma Parinam is belonging to the Chitta, Dharmini. Dharmini is the upholder of the Dharma. Like, fire is the Dharmi and heat is the Dharma. Sugar is the dharmi and sweetness is the dharma. In the same manner, Chitta is the dharmi and Vitthana Nirodha, they are the dharma. So, in this Nirodha Samskara, this modification and changes with reference to the dharma is called as Dharma Parinam. I hope it is clear. To understand the Dharma Parinam, observe your own mind. Like last 2 days I was doing only that. I know these are the things I have to do, but the mind has become so dull that nothing could be understood. Neither I can read anything, nor I have strength to go here and there. So that time, that quietness, dull-wittedness belong to the mind. And now the same mind, again it is fresh. So this is called as the dharma of the mind. And changes in this dharma is called as Dharma Parinam. Now, second is the Lakshana Parinam. Now, what is the Lakshana Parinamasya? Vilakshana, Trilakshanaha Nirodha, Atita, Anagata, Vartamana, Tribihi, Advabihi, Yuktaha. Now see here, I'll just tell you straight away rather than eating here and there. Lakshana is time. Lakshana is the principle of time. Everything in this world is influenced by time in 3 ways. Past, present and the future. So, Atita, past, Anagata, future, and Vartaman, the present. So every dharma has these three things associated with it. Like, for example, mind is the dharmi and anger is the dharma of the mind, for example. Now this anger will have these three aspects. Past, anger has come and gone. Mind is the same. Then present, now there is anger or there is no anger. So anger with reference to past, anger with reference to present, and anger with reference to future. So this is called as the Lakshana Parinama. Therefore, Anagata, then Anagata Lakshanam Advanam Hitva Dharmatva Anatikrantaha Vartamana Lakshanam Pratipannaha. When the past dharma or the parinama is over and the present begins. Now take the same example. I was not well 2 days. So that is the atita, gone. Now at present, today, I am all right. This is present. What will be in the future? All possibilities. I may be all right or I may not be all right. So the past, atita, has come and gone. You can do nothing about it. Vartaman is the one where you are experiencing that Lakshana Parinam. Lakshana means time. And what will happen after the present is over, we don't know. It could be any way. It could be good, it could be bad. Therefore, these three Parinam, they include three kinds of things. Past, present and the future. Now, this Lakshana Parinam, Vithanam Tri Lakshanam, Tri Bhihi Advabihi Yukta Vartamanam Lakshanam Vitva. Now, after this we have seen with respect to the Nirodha, then this Nirodha is also Bhutakalik with reference to past, present and the future. Now, after this is done, the next one comes the Avastha Parinama. Avastha Parinama, what is that? Tatha Avastha Parinamaha Nirodha Kshaneshu Nirodha Samskaraha Balavantaha Bhavanti. When at the time of Chitta Vritti Nirodha Samskar, when this happens, that time what is happening in the Chitta? Nirodha Samskara have become Balavanta, they have become powerful. Avastha, condition, status. So in the Nirodha Avastha or in the Nirodha Parinam, the Nirodha Samskara have become powerful and therefore the Vyuthana, the disturbances are quietened. So this is called as the Avastha Parinam. Avastha means the condition, the status. It is something like, when the sleep is discarded, the waking begins. When waking is discarded, the dream begins. Then dream is discarded, again we get into deep sleep. In this manner, what is more prominent, dominant, powerful, that is called as the Avastha Parinam. Therefore, Avastha Parinamaha Nirodha Kshaneshu Nirodha Samskaraha Balavantaha Bhavanti and Vithana Samskaraha Durbalaha iti. They become weak. And therefore, Esha Dharmanam Avastha Parinamaha. So this is the Dharma. What was the Dharma? Vithana and Vikshep. So Vithana and Nirodha, this is the Parinama of this Dharma. Now here one most important thing is to be understood. Dharminaha dharmaihi parinamaha dharmanam lakshanaihi parinamaha lakshananam avastha parinamaha evam dharma lakshana avastha parinamaihi shunyam gudavrittam kshana api na avatishtate chalanchat navrittam etena dharmadi bhuteshu indriya bhuteshu dharma vedat vyakhyata Now here also please understand step by step. Now, dharma cannot exist without a dharmi. See, when you say love, is love like a paperweight or what? No. Love is held in the mind. Or hatred. Hatred also is a dharma in the mind. So, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsarya, these are not the gross objects that we can see. So, what Bhagavan Vedavyas says, dharminaha dharmaihi parinamaha. So, the mind, what is the dharma of the mind? Nirodha and Vitthana. So, the dharmi, the mind, is influenced by the dharma. This is called as the dharma parinam. Second. Now, this dharma parinam goes to the next is the lakshana parinam. What is the lakshana? Atita, vartamana, anagata. The past, present and the future. Again, this is happening again to the dharmi alone who is supporting the dharma. So the dharmi becomes disturbed, dharmi becomes quiet. Earlier it was like this, now it's like this, now it will be like that. And thereafter, lakshananam avastha parinamaha. And then these three lakshanas. When these three lakshanas are happening, there is avastha parinam. What is avastha parinam? The disturbances are prominent and quietness is less. Or there will be more of quietness and less of disturbance. In this manner, all these three things, dharma, lakshana and avastha parinama, they are happening to the mind, and because they are associated with the dharma, they are called as dharma parinam. Associated with the lakshana, time, therefore lakshana parinam. And associated with the type of condition of this dharmas is called as the avastha parinam. In this manner, dharma lakshana avastha parinama hi shunyam gunavrittam nakshanamavi avadishtate. So this mind gunavrittam, the mind, can never stay even for a moment without these three things. Dharma, lakshana, avastha. Now just observe your mind. Sometimes our mind is quiet. Means what? Now the mind quietness or the nirodha samskara has become powerful. So, dharma parinam. But earlier, why were you disturbed? Okay, that has gone now. Now I am all right. Yes, you are all right. This is the lakshana parinam. How you will be afterwards? That depends. I can't tell anything. Because the anagata, the future parinam cannot be spoken of. It can be anything. As we can spell out the past. Past I was angry, I was happy, etc. But about the future we cannot tell. This will be lakshana parinam. And this lakshana parinam takes place only because of these two techniques. Either vitthana becomes powerful or the nirodha becomes powerful. And this is how the three parinama about the chitta we were told. Nirodha, samadhi and ekagrata. Narayana. These three parinama are happening, and in the process of happening, what is meant is this. Dharma, lakshana, avastha, parinama. So now make it clear to your understanding. First, when the chitta is made sayyamita, trayamekatra sayyamaha. When this happens to the chitta, there are three conditions. One is nirodha, samadhi or the ekagrata. Okay. Now, when the nirodha is happening, so what is the process through which the nirodha happens? See? So the process is indicated by dharma, lakshana, avastha, parinamai. And therefore, here it is said that etena bhuteshu bhutendriyeshu dharma, lakshana, avastha, parinamaha vyakhyataha. Because we have already told these three parinam. So they are including this thing. Now here one more topic is taken by Bhagavan Vedavyasa. Paramarthataha tu eka eva parinamaha. Actually, there is only one thing which is undergoing modification. And what is that? Chitta. Paramarthataha tu eka eva parinamaha. And that is dharma swarupa matro hi dharmaha. Now here there is one argument which is always a problem for many seekers. Whether the dharma is other than the dharmi or one with the dharmi. On the basis of this, many philosophies have sprung forward. Like when we say this heat is other than the fire or one with the fire. If you say it is other than the fire, does it mean heat can exist without fire? No. So, if it is not other than the fire, is one with the fire? No. Because unless the heat becomes manifest, the fire is not hot. And when it is not hot, we don't call it fire. Isn't it? See? The same thing Bhagavan Shankara said in our Vivek Chudamani. San api asan api ubhayatmikano. Bhinna api abhinna api ubhayatmikano. See? This power or the energy or the Shakti and the wielder of the Shakti, the dharmi, they are not separate and they are separate also. They are not separate when the dharma is unmanifest, they are not separate. When the dharma of the wood is hold the fire, and because of the element of fire in the wood has a shape. And when we put this wood into the fire, what happens? We invoke the heat, and when the heat is invoked, the shape of the object disappears. Therefore, all these modification, parinama that we have seen, 6 of them, they are dharmi swarupa matro hi dharmaha and adharmi vikriya eva. And these are all dharmi vikriya eva, not adharmi. Therefore, all of them are happening only in the dharmi, and that is the mind or the chitta. And dharma dvara prapanchate, and this is happening through the dharma. So the fire becomes manifest when the burning power is active. When the burning power is not active, the fire is unmanifest. In this manner, all that parinama which are happening, they are not happening to the dharma, they are happening to the dharmi, here the mind. Therefore, tatra dharmini vartamanasya dharmasya iva atita anagata vartamaneshu bhavananyathatva bhavati na dravya anyathatvam. So, the mind, chitta, earlier it was disturbed, now it is quiet, afterwards I do not know. So, who is getting influence? Dharma? No. Dharma is not getting influence. It is the dharmi who is getting influence. And what is influence? Dharmi does not change as a result of these changes in the dharma. Like when the clay is converted into the pot, clay is not influenced. If clay is not influenced, who is influenced? Clay is influenced. What is this funny thing? What can I do now? It is like that. If you understand this point, you have understood everything. I'll explain it. This is the basis of all your spiritual understanding. In Amrita Anubhava, first chapter, I have dealt this topic very exhaustively. See, the power of the water to manifest the water as ocean, or to manifest the ocean as the wave. Now this Shakti, does it exist apart from and independent of the water? No. Like this cover is independent of the object which is kept inside. Independent. In this manner, can this energy or the power, Shakti, stand independent of the water? No. First step. Second step. In the water, is there anything other than the water? No. Good. Third thing. can the fire burn the fire? Can the burning power burn the fire? No. Can the sweetness of the sugar create diabetes for the sugar? No. The what you call poison of the cobra, does it disturb the cobra? No. Doesn't. Therefore, this power of the water to express the water as ocean or the wave, this power has no effect on the water. Now when this power has no effect on the water, means what? Water is never drowned in the ocean, and water is never broken into pieces because of the destruction of the waves. Then what is happening? There is only an appearance as if something has happened, but in fact nothing has happened. See? This Parabrahma Paramatma with his infinite Maya Shakti cannot influence Paramatma. But in Paramatma, other than Paramatma, there is nobody, nothing, Ekameva Dvitiya. Then what will happen? This Maya Shakti will try to act on Paramatma alone. And when this Maya Shakti acts on the Paramatma, Jiva Jagat Ishvara is created. Now, on whom this Maya Shakti acted? On herself? No. Then who was available is the Paramatma. Therefore, Paramatma with the Maya Shakti in unmanifest is Parabrahma Paramatma. And this Parabrahma Paramatma, when we take for discussion into relativity, is called as Ishvara. So Maya plus Ishvara, rather Paramatma plus Mayopadhi, Upadhi of the Maya, is called as Ishvara. In the same manner, here all these things are happening only to the mind, because here Paramartha Vastu is mind. That's what we are discussing. Therefore, dharmi vikriya eva dharma dvara prapanchate. Tatra dharmini vartamanasya dharmasya eva atita anagata maneshu vartamaneshu bhavananatvam na bhavati. But when this water has undergone change as ocean and the wave, has any basic change taken place in the water? No. See? Please be very clear. You know, this is the reason why we tell you number of times, do not bring the past, do not worry the future, remain in the present. Means what? These are only the modifications of the mind. And when we are told, observe your mind, what we do? We observe the thoughts. And then we say, oh, there are too many thoughts coming. Who asked you to observe the thoughts? Observe the mind, not the thoughts. When you start observing the mind, thoughts, everything is no more. Therefore, dharmini vartamanasya bhavana anyatvam na drashtavyam. It cannot be seen. So the anger has come, remains sometime gone. Mind is the same. Then the confusion has come, stayed for some time, gone. Like, you know, last 3 days, more than that, 5-6 days, I was struggling with one of my software, and it was giving errors, one after another, everything I tried. And last night I was very exhausted. I said, let me try once more. So that was going on in my mind. And when I corrected that, hey, it became perfectly all right. So earlier, when the mind was disturbed, was unable to do. When the mind quietened, was able to do. So mind is the same. Disturbances come and go. Experiences come and go. This is what Bhagavan says in Gita. Matra sparashastu kaunteya shitoshta sukha dukkhada. Agama apayina anityaha. Therefore, all these parinamas belong to the mind, but they are not permanent. You can never be angry all the time. You can never be miserable all the time. But you can be happy all the time, because there is nothing like there is a word Atma Sukha. There is no word like Atma Dukkham. See, in Panchadashi, very beautifully, in Brahmanande, Advaitananda, there this point is brought out. Extremely beautiful. So when the Upadhi and the modifications of the Upadhi. So Upadhis are what? Mind, etc. And modification of the Upadhi, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. When we are able to recognize that this mind and its modifications are illumined by me, the pure Chaitanya, Shuddha Chaitanya. Now this Shuddha Chaitanya is independent of their presence or absence. And when these troubleshooting factors are rejected, thereafter what remains is the Brahmananda. And this Brahmananda is Advaitananda. Because in that experience there is no sense of otherness. Dukkha, Kama, Krodha, they are possible only when there is a sense of otherness. Therefore, by this Trividha Parinama, Dharma Lakshana Avastha, nothing new is created. It is the same thing, the same mind. When there are lots of rains, when there is a lot of turmoil in the sea, nothing happens to the water, it is the same. In this manner, in Sankhya Shastra, their dharmi is what? The chitta. Because the whole Yoga Shastra is dealing only with the chitta. Purusha is separate, and there are many of them. And from here onward, Vedanta takes a different route. Up to here, this is okay. Now, according to Upanishad, Vedas, who is the dharmi? Dharmi is not the chitta, unlike the Yoga Shastra. Their dharmi is the Shuddha Chaitanya, Ekameva Advitiya. And this Ekameva Advitiya, he alone is supporting the mind and its modification. But when the mind is enfolded as in deep sleep or under anesthesia, that time mind is no more. There is no dharmi. If there is no dharmi mind, how there can be disturbances of the mind? But in that experience, there is no experience of our absence. See how clear it is. This is what is to be understood slowly and steadily. Now, the dharmi parinam is over. So, lakshana parinamaha. So, what is the lakshana parinamaha? The same thing as I told you with reference to time, past, present and future. And the third is the avastha parinama. Now, these are the one which we have seen. Now, the whole thing, evam iti eka eva dravya parinamaha bhedena upadarshitaha iti, as dharma parinama, lakshana parinama and avastha parinama. So therefore, there is only one modification. And the same modification is spoken of three ways, like the dharma parinama, lakshana parinama and the avastha parinama. Again I repeat, dharma parinama with reference to the attribute. What is the dharma of the mind? Vitthana or Nirodha. Now Vitthana Nirodha will be in the past, present, we don't know about the future. And what is the avastha? Avastha is when the Vitthana is powerful, then the Nirodha is weakling. And when the Nirodha samskara are powerful, then the Vikshepas are weakling. This is how all these three things are happening only to the dharmi, to the mind. Therefore, evam padarthantareshu api yojjam iti. The same thing has to be applied to everything. In this manner, we have seen dharma and the lakshana and the avastha parinam. After having said this, now we come to the dharmi. Who is Mr. Dharmi? This is said in the 14th mantra. Sutra, Shantodita Avyapadesha Dharmanupati Dharmi Shanta, Udita, Avyabadesha. Shanta is quiet, past. Udita, the present, manifest. And Avyapadesha has not yet come. So the one who is supporting all the three conditions is called as the Dharmi. Now see, earlier it was anger. Where was the anger? Anger was in the mind. Very good. Now what happened? Now I have come to realize anger is detrimental to me only. Nobody gets influenced by that anger. I am only getting. So I discarded anger. So in the anger, the mind was there. In the rejection of the anger, the mind is still there. And you cannot give a guarantee, hereafter I will never become angry. Who knows? Anytime something may happen. In this manner, this Shanta, Udita, Avyapadesha, Dharma, Anupati, Dharmi. The one who is present in all these kinds of modification in and through is called as the Dharmi, the wielder. See, Shanta Dharma, Udita Dharma, Avyapadesha Dharmaha, Tan Anu Patitum Anugantum Shila Masyeti Shantodita Vyapadesha Dharma. See, the one who goes and follows and supports all the modifications is called as the Dharmi. Now, Dharminaha Yogyata Vachinna Shakti Eva Dharma. Now, what is the Dharma? Dharma is that which gives quality to the Dharmi is called as Dharma. For example, pungency, hot, is the quality which gives the chili as a pungent chili. This is what is said here. Dharminaha yogyata avachinna shaktihi dharma. That which adds attribute to the holder of the attributes is called as the dharma, and the one who is holding that attribute is called as the dharmi. Now, such a phalasya utpatti tasya vedan anumitaha sadbhavaha ekasya anyaha anyascha paridrishtaha. Now, here also one very important. Now, this dharma, such a phalasya prasavaha tasya vedan anumitaha. So, this dharma is known only by the effect. Karyanumeya sudheyaiva gamya. If you remember our Vivek Chudamani. What is the Maya or the Shakti? Karya Anumeya. In, I think, you have not studied the last 5 chapters of Panchadashishan. There this topic is brought out very beautifully. The burning power of the coal, where it is. When you take the burning coal on your palm, you get a blister effect, parinam. Now, is the burning power in the effect? No. When the coal is not lit, it is only dead, cold. That time, where is this burning power? So, the burning power, Dahika Shakti, when it is unmanifest, you cannot know that. When it is manifest in the effect, but in the effect you cannot see that. This portion is called as the heat. No. That is the effect of the heat. Therefore, here, sadbhavaha, because from the effect the Shakti is known, and it is the Shakti alone which makes the dharmi recognizable by the world. You know, it is something like this. I was reading one story in Swami Akhandananda's book. He says, this is just a story, don't go into argument and logic. One day, Bhagwan Shankaracharya and Bhagwan Dattatreya, they happened to meet each other somewhere in Ganges. And they said, okay, we'll go finish our bhiksha, begging, and come back and eat together. All right. So, Dattatreya Bhagwan went and Bhagwan Shankaracharya went. When they came back with their food, Dattatreya Bhagavan got only the leftovers, dry, useless kind of Bhiksha. And Shankaracharya got Rasgulla, Rabdi and all good things. So when Dattatreya Bhagavan said, when you went, what did you do for asking Bhiksha? No, I was, chanting my sutras which I normally do. So this Bhiksha has gone to the chanting, not to you. When I went, I didn't do anything. See the difference? This Shakti alone, when it becomes manifest, the Shaktiman is recognized. See? Once you understand this point, that the Shakti and the Shaktiman, their relation is relationless relationship. Why relationship? Because we are talking about two, fire and burning power. Therefore two. What is the relationship? There is no relationship. Because relationship demands two things. They are not two. Narayana. In this manner, this dharmi, nahi shakti viyogaha shakti mataha avedat iti bhavaha. Therefore, dharmi and dharma, they are not separate from each other. And therefore, swavyaparam anubhavan dharmantarebhya shantibhya avyabadeshbhya dhidyate vivichyate. And therefore, this dharmi functioning with through the dharmas, past, present and future, yet the dharmi, the mind is not influenced at all. Yada tu samanye samanvagataha bhavati tada dharmitva rupa matratvat ko asau kena vidyate. Now the question asked is, if this dharma in the present is manifest, so we can say that this was unmanifest in the future and it was unmanifest in the past. We can understand. Now, when this happens, Shanta Udita Avyapadeshasya ye vyaparan krutva uparataha shantaha. So, the various thoughts which have been born, when their job is over, they become quiet. They shanta. Then, second is techa uditaha kurvat vyaparaha. And the same thoughts, when they are again manifest, they start functioning in the present. And third, anagatasya lakshanasya samanantaraha. But we cannot say that in the future what kind of thoughts will be present in the mind. This is another very, very important principle. Atha avyapadeshyaha. Now, the anagata dharma. Anagata dharma is what is going to happen in the future. Like we say that the past disturbances which we have known are gone, now the present quietness has come. Can we say that with the present quietness there is going to be a disturbance afterwards? Or can we say that it is going to remain the same? So here the teacher says, you cannot say anything. Because sarvam dharmatmakam. Because the dharmi is upholder of the total dharma. Now that manifestation of the dharma could be in any way. Therefore we cannot predict anything in the future. Tathacha sarvatva parinama anyavasthita sarva vikara janana shaktasya shaktayaha eva avyavadesha ityartaha. Therefore this unmanifest shakti or the energy, that is including everything. And therefore what will happen in the future is never known. And therefore deshakala akara nimitta sambandhat atmanam na khalu abhivyakti atmanam bhavanam. And therefore these three conditions, past, present and the future, about past and present we can say, but about the future we cannot. These are the different explanations about the dharmi. So dharmi is the same, associated with the dharma, behaves different, but otherwise the mind is always pure. Mind can never be impure, because mind is not thing which can be subjected by anything. No, it comes, disturbances come, disappear. Again the mind is the same. Now the question comes, what is that because of which these modifications and changes come in the mind? The 15th sutra, Kramanyatvam Parinama Anyatve Hetuhu. Kramanyatvam, because of the different modification, the expressions are different. Now, Krama Anyatvam, Dharmasya Kramaha Hetuhu, depending upon the different types of Parinama, these modifications are seen in the Dharmi. So, Ekasya Dharminaha Eka Eva Parinama iti prasakti. But normally what happens? We get lost that if there is gold, there will be only golden ornaments. Easier to understand. But when it comes to mind, it can be anything. It cannot be only good, it cannot be only bad. And this is why one dharmi, the mind or the chitta, has all the possibilities. Either lead to destruction or attain perfection. So, Parinamanyatva hetur bhavati tadyatha Churnamrut, Pindamrut, Ghatamrut, Kapalamrut, Kanamrut, iti cha kramaha. Krama means sequence. So how this modification takes place? They take place through the sequence. For example, first of all, it is Churnamrut. Mrut means clay. First of all, it is a powdered sand or the clay. Thereafter becomes Pindamrut. Then in that powdered mud or clay, you add water and make a pinda. Thereafter what happens? Ghatamrut. Then the same pinda, the lump of clay is converted into the pot. Thereafter Kapalamrut. Then when the pot breaks, there are pieces of pot. And afterwards, when the pot pieces are again pulverized into dust, Kanamrut. It has become the minute parts of the clay. This is called as the sequence. So it is through the sequence alone all these parinamas takes place. And what are those sequence? First is Pindaha Pravachyate. The first thing is clay is clay, nothing happens. Then when you make pinda by adding water, Pravachyate. This pinda will now start changing from the dust up to into a lump. And thereafter, Ghata Upajayate. Then out of that pinda, the lump of clay, the pot is born. This is called as Dharma Parinama Kramaha, sequence. So, in this manner, Lakshana Parinama also Krama will be there, past, present, future. Earlier it was not there, now it is, now it will be there or not, we do not know. In this manner, this is the Lakshana Parinama. And the third one is Avastha Parinama, is also the same way, that the Abhinavasya Ghatasya Prante Puranata Drishyate Sacha Puranata Kshana Paramparanupatina Kramena. We see that the pot may be the one, but in due time, one portion of the pot becomes older than other portion of the pot, and there it starts leaking or it cracks. So this is called as the Avastha Parinam. So one part of the pot is perfectly alright, other part has gone bad. In this manner, everything in this world is undergoing through these three parinama, and they can be recognized as the cause of the subsequent. In this manner, this chitta is the dharmi, and this chittasya dvaya dharma, paridrishta aparidrishta. Now this chitta is the dharmi, the one who is wielding all the dharma. Which are the dharma? Samskar, Vithana Samskar and the Nirodha Samskar. So, these dharmi, chittasya dvaya dharmaha, paridrishtacha, aparidrishtacha. Of this chitta, there are two dharmas. One is seen, other is not seen. Which are those? Pratyayatmakaha, paridrishtaha. That which can be experienced are called as the manifest dharma of the chitta. Like Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Vatsarya, disturbance, quietness, fear, happiness, disturbance, etc. These are seen, they are manifest. And second one is aparidrishtascha. Aparidrishtascha vastu matratmika. Now vastu matratmika means what? They are there in the chitta, but they are not manifest. And you can never know them. Because the moment you start looking at your chitta, you disappear. And only the consciousness remains. So this aparidrishtaha, what is aparidrishta they do? They vastu matratmika anumanena pratita vastu matra sadbhavaha. So only by reference or the inference, seeing the effect, we can see them. Now, nirodhasya dharmasya samskarasya iti nirodha dharma samskaraha. So there are 7 things which is said in this verse. It's a very beautiful verse. Nirodha dharma samskara parinamota jivanam chesta shaktisya chittasya dharma darshana varjitaha. These are the unmanifest dharma of the chitta. First 3, nirodha dharma samskara. And then 4th is the parinama. That is the dharma, lakshana and the avastha parinama. 5th is the jivanam. It is because of the chitta associated with the body that the body is alive. So the jivanam, life in the body, is because of the presence of the chitta. That body in which consciousness cannot express as mind is a dead body. So jivanam. And then chesta. Then the same mind or the chitta undergoes a lot of changes and functions in various activities. So that they are able, the chitta is able to see through the senses or do work through the organs of action. And the 7th one is shaktischa. Now this chitta has got infinite possibilities in the future. There is no well-defined what will happen in the future, the infinite search. So, Shaktischa, Chittasya Darshana Varjita Dharmaha. These are the unknown and unknowable dharma of the chitta. This is how we have seen up to here Narayana, the aspect regarding what happens when we practice the Sayyama, Ekatra Sayyama. Now you have got the book, spend a lot of time on that, read, study, understand. And thereafter, in the next mantra onwards, Ataha yoginaha upatta sarva sadhanasya bubutchitartha pratipatte Sayyamasya vishayaha upakshipyante. Now here Bhagavan says, now that yogi who has done all the spiritual practice of controlling the mind, yogina upatta sarva sadhanasya. Now he has got perfect control over his mind through this practice or sadhana, and he has attained the Sayyama. Now such a yogi, bubutchita artha pratipatte. Now when you have got some power, you will not keep quiet. Dikhana hai. I have to show that. I remember I went to one Hindi house. Hindis never sing. I have not seen any Hindi singing. Again, the Gujaratis cannot keep quiet. They keep on dancing. Garva, the Gujaratis, nobody can beat them. So, I went to somebody's Hindi's house and there was some time. I said, okay, then I'll watch TV or read newspaper. Swamiji, no, come to the dining table directly. I said, all right. I never argue with anybody on any issue. Okay. Why I beat our head? I went there. And then that fellow, friend of mine, Hindi, he came with a harmonium on the dining table. I said, look here, I have never played and I don't have music in me, so I don't sing. No, Swamiji, I know you don't do, but I have learned, recently I started. And now, because there is time for food, I will sing one bhajan for you. Ram, Ram, Ram. The moment we become aware of our power, we want to practice and exhibit them. Therefore, yoga bhrashta happens because of this. When all the siddhis, all the powers are invoked, and thereafter we want to use them. How we want to use them? oh, everything will be all right, don't worry, this thing, that thing. This I learned from Swami Akhandanji. I was in Calcutta those days. There was one South Indian couple, very nice people, and that man was extremely close to me. And once I went out of Calcutta for a month or two, when I came back, he was in his bed. So I asked him, what happened? So then I was told that he is suffering from cancer, and it is bone cancer. All the bones have become brittle, and there is nothing that can be done. So he is lying on the bed and with a kind of a tomb kind of curtain, so that he doesn't have to put on clothes. If he does like this, like a pencil cut, it breaks. It will become such. He was lying down there. So I went there. After I saw that, extremely bad I felt. And then the same evening I had to go to see Swami Akhandanji. Never he has asked me this question. Do you want to ask anything? That day he asked. You want to ask something? Ask. Then I asked this thing. I said, Swamiji, what I have done, when I sat with my friend, I was feeling very bad. So I was chanting Mrityunjay Mahamantra. Om, for his welfare and all that. It's very good. I said, no, I'm not worried very good or bad. The question is this right? Then he told me. He said, when we do like this, we are hampering the progress of the Jiva's evolution. What is required for the Jiva's evolution, the Lord knows. You don't interfere in his work. How beautiful it is. But the moment we have got some powers and all that, we want to show and exhibit them. Therefore, Adaha Yogina Upatta Sarva Sadhanasya completed all the spiritual practice. Now, Bubudhita Artha Pratipattaye. Therefore, Bubudhita, desire to know many things. For that, Sayamasya Vishaya Upakshipyante. Now, from here onward, these Dharana, Jnana, Samadhi, what it is, what it gives us as a power, as energy, as a distinction. This is said from 16th mantra sutra onwards up to the end of the 3rd chapter. So here only one or two will try to understand. Remaining we should read and go ahead, because there is nothing that we are going to gain out of it, because this has to be practiced. Only by reading the menu, nobody has associated with hunger. So this will be like reading the menu, and afterwards nothing happens. So we will up to here. That's why I spend more time on these 3-4 lectures. Now hereafter the topic is there. We will take few of them randomly here and there, small one, and then conclude. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.